Okay, thank you very much to the three presenters. Very excellent presentations of three various cases where we see the light of creation somehow and the social conditions that either enhance them or become hindrances to them. There might be questions. I think I read a question from Vern or the Dean or, oh, sorry, Dr. De La Peña a while ago at the chat box. Dr. De La Peña, would you like to read your question addressed to Myoshin Kim?
Hang on, I'm trying to look for it.
Oh, it's in the chat box.
A chat box.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is to Dr. Kim, Myoshin. I have noticed that Korean traditional music, like song forms like arirang, pansori, and including instruments, have found their way to popular culture. And you hear them, you see them on TV, and so on. I want to know which came first, the popularization of traditional music or the Koreanized hymns that you speak of? And are the two practices somehow connected? Thank you.
Okay, now I'm on, right? Okay, so that's really interesting question. And then as I read your question, I was thinking about that. And from the popular music scene, I think they always interested in using the Korean traditional music elements actually. But as I remember, in the 1970s, there was now he's a really big name of composer from the Korean traditional music. Kim Young-dong, he made some music, the movie soundtrack, and he became really famous. It was 1970s actually, and he's the one who participated in the Dongwol Church. He met with Reverend Hall. So I thought that's very interesting. And then, so it was like about same time, you know, as you asked the question, I was thinking, and the basic the influence is from the Minjung cultural movement in the 1970s. So people were interested in everybody was in the Minjung cultural movement in the 1970s, and that influenced on both sides. That's what I'm thinking, actually. Yeah.
Okay, there's a question here from Benito San Victores addressed to everyone, and I'd like to read the question. How can the popularity of Western sounding and looking K-pop groups affect the objective to preserve and promote vanishing, in quotes, traditional culture? In the first place, do you listen to K-pop, our three friends? Or your children, probably?
Okay, should I go first?
Yes, please, please.
So as I read the question, I think BTS came into my mind actually. So BTS made they used Daechita, which means royal processional music. That was the title of their one song, and you know it was a BTS song, so everybody loved it. So I remember the students who did not interested in the Korean traditional music, they got interested in Korean traditional music because of the BTS Daechita music. So I think somehow they are promoting Korean traditional music, but I'm not sure about that they are actually promoting real Korean traditional music. Yeah. Anyway, they are, you know, that people who are not very much didn't pay attention much in Korean traditional music. Now younger generation have some interest in it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as I read the question. Maybe
yes, I think that also covers a bit of the his follow-up question of what is the status of traditional Korean culture in the midst of K-pop popularity, like the Netflix series. So he follows up with that question. There's one very important question here. I'd like to jump to it with your permission. It's from Rick Tremilios, Dr. Rick Tremilios, Professor Lee. Are you arguing that present-day Sanju performers are not creative? Or is there a shift in how creativity is defined? There are some clear parallels with European classical music here. Can you answer, Professor Lee?
Uh,
This is from your former teacher, I think.
yeah.
I'm always
Sorry.
scared for questions from my former teachers, you know.
Yeah, in fact, uh, I believe that the not only the Sanjo players, but most Korean musicians of the are not able to make kind of improvisation music anymore. So it's not the case. It's not only the case of Sanjo, but also the case of pansori singers and so on. So
Mm,
mostly the believe that the creativity of the Korean musicians have been very decreased compared to like 50 years ago, 60 years
mm,
ago. That's
mm.
what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay, there's a question here from Motohide Taguchi.
Hi.
A question for Dr. Myoshin Kim. For the notations of church hymns in the folk song style and Western music style using pentatonic scale, do they use Western notation or Jongganbo? Jongganbo, I don't know the term.
That's right.
Yeah.
정간보, right.
Jongganbo. Do they use Western notation or Jongganbo? That's the
They
first
use the
question.
정간보 for all music styles, actually.
Okay. Now the second question he's asking is maybe younger generations have become familiar with Jongganbo notation little bit through the study of Danzo in Korean elementary schools. Do you think this kind of music education in the schools make changes of the acceptance of the church hymns in Jonga style with Jongganbo notation?
I think that's Mr.
Uh,
Takuchi, you know the
Taguchi,
situation. Yeah, he knows the situation, the educational
yeah.
situation in Korea, right? Yeah, so
Yes.
we learned that everybody learned a little bit of about the Cheongganbo now, but I don't think that provides like a good enough knowledge to get familiar enough to read the Cheongganbo freely. So I don't think that affects a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Dr. Santos, I think, wants to ask a question. Sir, would you like to address the question yourself?
Well, actually, I have the questions for the three speakers, okay?
You're dead. I'm joking.
You don't look at the chat box.
I did. But I
Okay.
want you to read it for yourself. Yeah.
Anyway, I think you have partly answered my first question, Myoshin Kim. Kasi my question has pedagogy entered the compositional realm of the hymns, especially the first type? I forgot, the Django,
The Chonga.
Changgat style, which is based on traditional Korean singing, right?
Right.
Was there any attempt to teach composition to the younger generation?
In the church.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, there's attempts actually. So there's a group of people who really want to educate younger generation Christians that can, promote their worship music in Korean traditional style. But not many people are interested. Not many younger generation are interested in. But still, there are some. Yeah.
So it still continues on, right?
It is. Yeah, it is continuing now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. To Myoshin Kim.
Yes.
Are these compositions only performed by shamans? And are they composed or are they improvised by each shaman? In other words, do they have different compositions for each shaman? You know what I mean? Would one shaman have a different composition than another shaman? You understand?
May I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Some shaman songs are kind of common to most of the shamans.
Yeah.
The composition itself is common, but the individual shamans have their own style of
Yeah,
singing.
okay.
So there's that kind of improvisation is going on there. And as shown in the presentation, one shaman can sing one kind of song in different ways, in different
see.
rhythms and different melodies and so on. So there's no kind of fixed composition in shaman music.
Okay, but then is this taught at all? Is this taught at all to
It's
future shamans?
yeah, it is taught from their mother-in-law or their mother, but the shamans have kind of knowledge to make improvisation by herself,
Okay.
because she has a lot of experience of the ritual and the music itself.
I see.
Yeah,
So it kind of individualized, right?
yes, that's right.
Okay. And now I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are sanjos, sanjos, I'm really intrigued by the sanjo, it's fantastic. Are sanjos composed, and are there many sanjos, let's say, for one instrument with different titles?
That's right.
Okay. So it's just like any other musical piece, right?
That's right.
Okay.
And in fact, the elder generations, there is no fixed melody. Even they have established their own sanjo school, whenever they play, their music is changed.
Of course.
But since the 1970s, every school has published the staff notation.
I see.
So the students from the 1980s, they learn only through the notations.
So they cannot improvise, just like the original
the original piece.
Oh, it's too much.
That's the situation these days.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much to all of you.
Okay.
Any other question from anybody in the room or even among the participants outside?
There is a question here by Benito San Victores.
San Victores, I think it was already asked a while ago.
Okay.
San Victores. Yeah, it was already asked. Any other question from any? I just want to have a little sidebar question. But there's one here from before that. But there's one from Dulce Blanca for Dr. Lee. What your take on PN this? I don't know what that is. Artistic director. What your wait. What your take PN this? Artist Dulce, can you please retype your question because I couldn't understand what you're saying. What your take on PN this? Artistic director and fashion designer Junko, who came up with dance performance called Sanjo with the National Dance Company of Korea. I think she's asking what is your opinion on fashion designer Junko Ho, who came up with a dance performance called Sanjo with the National Dance Company of Korea, and she puts a link there in the chat box. Can you answer that question, Dr. Lee?
I just read the linked article briefly, and the performance itself came up with the dance. I just read the article briefly, and many Korean Korean artists, including the dancers and musicians, they try to make the kind of newly composed performances based on sanjo, because you know they know the real spirit of the sanjo is the improvisation and musical or artistic creativity. So and many dancers and the musicians want to show kind of the aesthetics or the ideas of the sanjo, which implies a creativity or artistic creativity or improvisation in their shows. But I'm I'm not sure, because I
Okay.
haven't seen these performances
Yes.
before. So I'll, if you give me a chance, if you give me an email address of yours,
Okay.
I will see I will see the performance, and I can reply you
Well,
later.
that's very kind of you. Anyway, we are running out of time, and first, I'd like to thank the three panelists here. There's one more question, but I think we could answer you by email. And because we're running out of time, thank you to three panelists, uh, Dr. Myoshin Kim, Dr. Myung Kim, and Dr. Yong-Shik Lee. Thank you very much. Our very stimulating discussion on creation, which is the action and process of bringing into existence. And we see the nuances of this action in three various aspects of production, namely in the church with the jonga, in the shaman ritual, and particularly with the sanjo. So again, thank you for this very lively panel. And as it was requested a while ago, let's remain for our picture taking.